We have discussed about the origin of American English, and we know that English language has several varieties. And in this regard, we see some countries where English is the first language or the mother tongue. And in this regard, in Canada, we see English is the first language. We will be discussing today the first half, the origin of Canadian English. So, what is the origin of American English? We have discussed it in our previous class. And today we will be discussing the origin of Canadian English. And there we have noticed already that in previous class that in America, British settled there, and we see the not only the British people, but the other people, Dutch, Spanish, German, they also went there in America and settled there. But the most people came from the British, and for this reason, we see that the American English is very much similar to this British accent. However, in several parts, we see the French language as the first language. Canada is not an exception. The map, we will see that Canada is the country adjacent to USA. So we see the similar pattern of the origin of Canadian English. Some people and some linguistics observe that Canadian English is very much similar to the British accent, and some people and some linguists will also be sharing their attitude that Canadian English is very much similar to American English. And in our previous class, we have also understood that there is a distinctive variety basically on British pronunciation and the American pronunciation. So in this regard, when we will be talking that the Canadian English is similar to the British pronunciation, it means another incident. And when we will be speaking that the Canadian English is very much similar to the American accent or US accent, that would signify another incident. Let's see the history. What does the history say? In this regard, there is a man, and he is an Italian navigator, and his voyage 1740-97 voyage to the coast of North America under the commission of Henry VIII of England is the earliest known European exploration of the North American since the Norse visit the mainland of in the 11th century. So this man, this Italian navigator John Cabot, first visited Canada in 1497. John Cabot John Cabot, the Newfoundland, uh, that is, he visited there in Canada in 1497, and John Cabot went there in the Newfoundland. That is called the European term of North America and the South America. English migration in Canada developed a century later when the farming, fishing, and the fur trading industries attracted English-speaking settlers. So the Canada became a place of attraction for the English people, especially the voyagers. And we have also learned that the many people went over there to have the cheap land and, the vast opportunity of farming, fishing, fur trading. So many people went to Canada after the expedition. After the expedition of the Italian navigator John Cabot. And the conflict began, as we see, as we have observed that in our previous class, that many, not only the British settler went there, but the French settler also there. But there was a conflict between the English settler with the French settlers continued. And the French navigator Jacques Cartier arrived in Canada in 1520 decades. So after this navigator, his Italian navigator John Cabot, and after that another settlers went there, and he is from France, and his name is Jacques Cartier. So the conflict began with the British settlers and with the French settlers. And the French surrendered during the 18th century following the defeat of the Queen Anne's War, and the French and the Indian War. That we see in the conflict between the French settlers and the British settlers that started, and the French settlers were defeated, and the prominence of the British settler established in Canada. He is John Cabot. We have also learned about that, an Italian explorer and navigator. And especially the John Cabot developed the idea of sailing westward to reach the reaches of Asia, working for a Venetian merchant, and born in 1450 and died in late 1490s. Sorry, in late 1490s, he was living in England. He gained a commission from King Henry VIII to make an expedition across the northern Atlantic. And the sail from Bristol, the city of the south of the west of England, in May 1497, landing locating to the Newfoundland, that is the Cape Breton island of the southern navigator. So this man, John Cabot, got approval from the British Queen, that is Henry VIII, and went there and established the colony in 1497. And Jacques Cartier, and he is a French explorer, and made 3 voyages to Canada. And during the mid-16th century, believes a natural waterway leading to Asia could be found through the continues of the North America and the South America. And his first voyage was 1534. Sorry, there was a distraction from the cause of the some outside noises. I have shut the windows. So another settler went there, that is the Jacques Cartier, and he is from France, and he went there in 1534. And especially the Jacques Cartier, he believes that the natural waterway leading to the Asia could be found throughout the continents of the North America and the South Africa. And his second voyage, St. Lawrence River in 1535. And he returned to France, claimed the river could be a passage to Asia. So this is the 2 navigators, one from France and another from Italy. But the Italian navigator John Cabot, he got acquaintance with the English Queen Henry VIII, and he went there. Cartier Attempts. In 1541, the King of France ordered Cartier to establish a colony in North America. So North America, we have noticed that North America, that is the Canada. So the John Cartier, he established the colony over there, and he got the commission of the French Queen and French King that Cartier was supposed to establish a colony in North America. But the Cartier's attempts was unsuccessful. France didn't explore the New World, and the European turned over North America and South America again for more than 50 years. So this is the history. So he is the Jack Cartier. So we have understood that in case of Canada, we got two explorers, one from France and another from Italy, the Britain. And there was a war actually in this situation that is called Queen Anne's War. And that war, the second in the series of the wars, fought between the Great Britain and the France in North America to control of the continent. And following that, in 1702 to 1713, there was a war that was happened between the France and the Britain in Canada. And in that war, it was the contemporaneous with the war of the Spanish succession in Europe. The English settlement were subject to betrayal raids by the French forces and their Indian allies. So in case of the British, in case of the French were supported by their Indian allies. So that is the Queen Anne's War. And the French and the Indian were pitted the colonies of the British America against those new French, and each side supported by the military units from the present parent country and by American Indian allies. And at the start of the war, the French colonies had a population of roughly 60,000 settlers compared with the 2 million in the British colonies. So when the struggle between the French colonists and the British colonies established, at that time the 2 million British people had been established their colony in Canada. However, only 60,000 of the French colonies in this area. So in 1750,000, the French settlers deported from the Arcadia and replaced by the settlers from the New England. So most probably you have heard that you can remember the name of the New England. New England is the area of America, and these people, the New England people, were replaced to the Nova Scotia of Canada after the defeat of the war, when the French army defeated by the British settlers over there in Canada. So in that area was occupied by the British settlers, and that British settlers were brought back from New England, that is a state of USA. So we are discussing about the origin of Canadian English. So in this regard, we say that in through the historical turmoil and the struggle in Canada, we see that both the French settlers and the British settler went there, but British settlers, they became successful in the war, that is the Queen's Anne War, and at that time the many people from US, especially from New England area, were replaced to Nova Scotia. And
excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sheikh Zial Islamov has requested me to admit him, sir.
Arias, pardon?
Sheikh Zial Islamov. He cannot.
অপেক্ষা করতেছে স্যার।
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He is now waiting.
But
Tulali actor also waiting.
Why? But I didn't enable the waiting room. But and if anyone waits, okay, that I will show the message. that I am not, I do not see the message, yeah. And especially the waiting room is not enabled. Anybody can attend anytime.
Sir, you are unable to join the meeting. This kind of messages are shown in his device.
But in which way I will?
You are unable to join this meeting because you were previously removed by the host.
Oh, I see. So that was the situation. That one students. Okay. Okay. So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
yeah. Then yeah. I removed a participant. Okay. So but how I can? How I can admit it? There is no. Okay. Next time, if he couldn't attend the join the class, I am not getting the way of admitting him.
বলছি ট্রাই করতেছি।
আচ্ছা ওরা কি আগের আইডিটা দিয়ে জয়েন করছে এমন হইতে পারে কারণ আমি আগের আইডি
No.
নো উনি জয়েন করেছিলেন বাট রিমুভড।
The so we had been there that we had been talking about the origin of the Canadian English, and we have learned that two navigators, one name is John Cabot. He is a British Italian navigator, but he got commission from England, especially Henry VII of England, to establish colony in Canada. And another one, we have got the John Jack Cartier, and he has come from France. And for this reason, there was a conflict who will be controlling the power of Canada. And there was a conflict between the British settlers under the guidance of the John Cabot and the French settlers under the guidance of the Jack Cartiers. So this is the situation. And the French was defeated in this war, the Queen Anne's War. And after that, the place which were occupied by the French settlers, that place were replaced by the British settlers. So in this way, English became the dominant language of Canada. However, the number increased by many coming directly from the England. So when the British settler got victory in the fight against the French settlers in Canada, after that incident, many other settlers, and we have also learned that the Canadian people, they came from the New England area of USA, and in New England area is the British prominent area who came from England, especially their religious belief is Protestant. So they went there. But apart from that, after getting the victory on the fight against France, many people from England, Ireland, Scotland went to Canada. And they established in this area that is the Nova Scotia. And for this reason, this name is named so that the state or the province of Canada that is named Nova Scotia, it means that New Scotland. Sorry for the intervention. So this area, Nova Scotia, is named so that after getting victory, when the British settlers got victory against the French settlers, then many people came directly from the British and they became the most dominant population of Canada. In such a way, we see that the English we get in Canada that is mostly dominated by the British English. So you see that area, that the first place, that is the Newfoundland, where John Cabot established their settlements. And that is the Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, the New England. So this is the area that was dominated by the British settlers. Okay, so, and that another incident happened that we know, that is in 1777, the US declared their independence from the British colonial rule. And that what happened? And in that colonial rule, we have also noticed that there are two parties, the loyalists and the patriotists. The loyalists, they had been supporting to the British government. They are called the loyalists and the aristocrat. And the other group, they support the US revolution. They are called patriot. Okay. So when America got independence, then the loyalists who supported the British government, what they will do? They left the place and they left USA and went to the northern part of this globe, that is Canada. যখন আমেরিকা স্বাধীনতা ঘোষণা করলো এবং স্বাধীনতা লাভ করলো, এবং এই স্বাধীনতার সময় দুইটা গ্রুপ ছিল যারা কিনা ব্রিটিশদের সাপোর্ট করেছিল, হোয়াইট পিপল, তারা আমেরিকাতে বাস করছে, তারা অরিজিন, তারা ইউএসএ তে থেকেও ব্রিটেনদের সাপোর্ট করেছিল, তাদেরকে বলা হচ্ছে লয়ালিস্ট। এবং যারা আমেরিকাকে সাপোর্ট করেছিল তাদেরকে বলা হচ্ছে প্যাট্রিয়ট। কিন্তু যখন আমেরিকা সত্যি সত্যি স্বাধীনতা লাভ করলো, তখন যারা লয়ালিস্ট তারা আমেরিকা ছেড়ে আস্তে আস্তে কানাডাতে চলে আসে। Okay, so that is another issue of the origin of Canadian English. They were soon followed by the many thousands, the so-called the late loyalists, who were attracted by the cheapness of the land, especially in the area known the Upper Canada, above Montreal and the north of the Great Lakes. So we see that they were attracted by the cheapness. So one reason that the loyalists, আমেরিকা যখন স্বাধীনতা লাভ করলো তখন লয়ালিস্টদের সেখানে থাকা একটু কঠিন হলো, এটা একটা কারণ। And another reason, the land area that is very cheap in Canada. So the left, still you know that the vast area of Canada are unoccupied by the less number of population over there. So you will easily get immigration if you want to have immigration in Canada. So for these two reasons, the loyalists, they left USA, and also for the cause of the cheapness of the land, especially in the area known as the Upper Canada. They left USA and went to Upper Canada. And within the 50 years, the population of this province had reached 1 lakh, and over 31 million were estimated in 2001, with 2/3 claiming English as a native or home language. Okay, so that was the scenario of the origin of Canadian English. So we have also discussed about loyalists, that means who supported the British government at the time of the US declaration of independence. So these are the countries, the Caribbean countries. So and also the Creole language is there, a Pidgin language we have learned. The Caribbean islands showing countries where standard English is as an official language in this area, English-based. Creole are also the widely used countries where the language over other than English is the official language, but an English-based. Creole is none the less spoken, and the special standing of the US in the Puerto Rico is noted in separately. So because of its origin, so we see several variations of Canadian English. Canadian English common with the rest of the English spoken in the North America. So we have learned the history that the many people left USA and went to Canada. And for this reason, the accent and the pronunciation pattern of Canadian English is very much similar to the accent of North America. And who lived outside Canada often find it difficult to hear the difference, actually. And many British people identify Canadian accent as American, but many American identify it as British. So it's a peculiar incident that the many people living in Canada, they say that the Canadians' English is similar to American, and the American people, they say that the pronunciation of Canadian English is quite similar to British English. So, and Canadian, what is their motive? The Canadian themselves insist on not being identified with the either group. And certainly, the variety does display a number of unique features. In addition, the presence of the French is co-official language. So Canadian, they said that no, we have a different language. So our language, our English is not similar to British or is not similar to American. So we have a national and linguistic identity. Though it is an English language, our pronunciation pattern is totally different. But as the history is concerned, that the Canadian English is not quite different to British or the American English. As we have noticed in our previous class, that there are very distinctive difference between American English and the British English, especially for pronunciation, especially for spelling and in sorts of vocabulary. Grammar is more or less same in case of American English and the British English. So this is the history of the origin of Canadian English. So in addition, the presence of the French as the co-official language, chiefly spoken in Quebec. Quebec is a province of Canada, where you see that yes, in Canada, English is the first language. But in case of Quebec, you see that French is the official language and produces a sociolinguistic situation not found in other English-speaking countries. So Canada, we see that they have two official languages, one English and another French. And why it happened so? We have got the history that from the initial stage, the settlers, they came from Britain, and as well as the settlers came from France. And for this reason, this is the history of Canadian English as we have understood. So thank you very much for attending the class.